Hi guys, it is Kieran from Red Devil Weekly and we're here to preview United's first Europa League game and potentially only one of two Europa League games this season as we head to Turin to take on Real Sociedad in the first leg of the round of 32 of the Europa League. And before we get into it, as always, please do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new, and thank you very much for 860 subscribers. Thank you so much for helping us hit that target. On to 870 I say, but thank you so much for all support, really do appreciate it. And if you are watching as a video as well, make sure you leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Really want to hear what you guys have to say in terms of predictions or just anything going into this game, any of your thoughts whatsoever. And if you're watching live, of course, make sure you leave your thoughts in the live chat. We'll get through all of your views as we go through this live stream. Just want to welcome Adam, thanks for joining. I do apologise, I did go live a little bit later than usual, obviously, or a little bit earlier than usual, but I was a bit late. I did say it would be 7:30, so I do apologise, but thanks for joining, appreciate it. Mr. Boba Django, Notification Squad, you're absolute legend. Thanks for joining, Mr. Boba Django, very much appreciate it. But we'll have the lineup as well. I've got my predicted lineup. I've actually been a little bit more prepared, so hopefully it'll make for a better stream for you guys to watch. But we're going to get straight into it, I think. And this is the main debate for me is, how hard do we take the Europa League? How hard do we go in this competition? Now, on one hand, you're looking at our league position saying, realistically, we need to focus on the league if we are to keep tabs on Man City, and that's a fair argument. On the other hand, you're looking at it going, realistically, we should get top 4 from the position we're in right now. We should get top 4. But realistically, the league is so up and down, you don't know what's going to happen. So it's difficult to say which competition we should prioritise. I think it's the league. Personally, for me, I would 100% prioritise the Premier League. But I know there's a lot of United fans out there, especially some I've seen on social media and things like that, that are saying actually we should try and prioritise the Europa League because it might be the only trophy we win and it might be our best chance of getting in the Champions League. Now that's obviously a bit of a pessimistic view considering we're in second place, but I know there are some United fans that definitely think like that. So that's obviously the main debate as to what you make your lineup, what you think our chances are in this game. So that is definitely going to be a point really to pick up on. Charlie, thanks for joining, Charlie. Appreciate it. Always good to hear what he said. It's a Fabio Silva has scored more goals than Greenwood this season, and you still have the audacity to say he's better than Foden. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. Look, listen. Greenwood. I mean, I know people don't like the old generational talent, and they're saying, oh, it's only safe for Mbappe and Haaland. But I'm telling you, Greenwood is the real deal, and you'll find out. You'll find out soon enough. Don't worry about that. Foden's doing good for now. I'm rating him. He's doing good for now. But you'll find out Greenwood hasn't gone anywhere, mate. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's just warming up. He's just warming up. Trust me. Trust me. Adam says we need a trophy at least. I agree. I think in terms of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the progression he's made, it's been good. You have to say he's progressed us from where we were a few seasons ago, or even from when he took over. But at the same time, we are still trophyless in our last 3 or 4 seasons. I think it could be could be the 4th season without a trophy. So again, it's one of those ones, isn't it, where even though we are progressing up the table, we are going up the table. We do still need that win. We do still need a trophy under our belt, and obviously we're in the FA Cup quarter-final. So that's a definite possibility, although Man City are in that and they're looking in imperious form. So again, that's going to be difficult. The Europa League might be one of our main chances. It might be one of our main chances. Ewan Baldry, thanks for joining, mate. Appreciate it. He says Mbappe or Haaland. Right now, I've got to go for Mbappe. I mean, you don't score a hat-trick at the Camp Nou for nothing, mate. I mean, Mbappe is world class. And he's, 21 years old? It's crazy. It's crazy what he's doing. Haaland, I'm telling you, he's a absolutely unbelievable striker. I'm not taking anything away from Haaland. But if you ask me who I want in my team, if right now you offered me on a plate Haaland or Mbappe, it's Mbappe 9 times out of 10 for me. It really is. What he's doing is just mental. He will become the best player in world football, no doubt about it. He's already the poster boy for football, really. So for me, it's Mbappe. Haaland, I do see him having a very good career, and I think he will be up there in terms of the best strikers in world football. I think he'll make it to Lewandowski level. I think that's the sort of level we'll be talking with Erling Haaland. But for me, I'm going Mbappe every day of the week. Every day of the week. Mr. Bobajango says Greenwood will turn into prime R9 when he fills out in a few years. Exactly. He's just got to do the Rashford treatment where he gets bulked up. Get on those bulk diets. Having a bulk, and he will be up there. I'm telling you. That's the one thing about Greenwood is he's a little bit flimsy at the moment. But trust me, he will be up there. He will be up there with the Mbappes, with the Haalands. Last season he was digging us out of holes, and he was 18 years old. He was like 1 year younger than I am, and he's digging us out of holes, scoring important goals against West Ham, realistically dragging us into the top 4 race. And to do that at that age is nothing to be sniffed at, in my opinion. Kobe, thanks for joining. He says, love the new thumbnails, Kieran. Appreciate it, mate. Actually, it's a little bit of a secret. Last year's thumbnails were pretty well exactly the same, so I haven't really changed anything. I've just gone back to it, and it's a little bit depressing actually, because I was looking forward to doing different thumbnails for the Champions League, but obviously that didn't work out for various reasons. So we're back to the Europa League Orange. So that's why the thumbnail's a little bit different, but it's great if you like it. Always good to hear from that. And Naveen, thanks for joining. He says Manchester is red. Standard, Naveen, standard. It never hasn't been, and always will be. Always will continue to be. Adam says he's hoping to see players like Shaqiri and Diallo tomorrow. To be honest with you, mate, I feel like they could feature, but realistically, I don't see them starting. I think potentially coming off the bench. I think more so for Diallo. I don't think, even though Shaqiri is having a very good, he's having a very, very good time of it in the under-23s. I just don't, or the under-18s rather, I don't see him, getting any sort of game time as of yet. I don't think he's really ready to make that step up. But Diallo, we bought him for what, 35 million? If we leave him on the bench, it's starting to become a bit of a worry. So, for me, I think, Diallo is the guy that could potentially get minutes, but I don't see Shaqiri getting any minutes, to be honest with you. Which, is a little bit annoying because I'd like to see him, but I'm not sure if he's ready. We can't rush these sort of players. All right, Adam, I might hit you up. I might hit you up in future, mate. Charlie says, will Kane leave Tottenham this summer? And if so, where will he go? Well, I'll tell you what. If he wants to win anything, he better leave, because realistically, he's just going to end up like another Alan Shearer. Great striker. Everyone's saying he was world class in his day. Everyone's saying how good he was. Had no medals to show for it. At least Alan Shearer won a Premier League with Blackburn, so realistically he had something. But he never, if he doesn't leave to a club like Man City or even a club in Europe that actually wins stuff, he'll finish his career, and I guarantee you he will have regrets about not leaving. Realistically, if Spurs keep going as they are, can't see him staying. I just think it'll be an absolute waste of time. Like, why would you stay at a club where Mourinho's obviously fallen out with the players? He's not getting the results. Like, there's been no kind of Mourinho glory moments at Spurs. Every other club Mourinho's been to, at least they've won something. Heck, even at United, obviously it all fell apart, but he actually won us some stuff. At Spurs, it looks like they're not going to win shit. So realistically, Spurs has got to go. Harry Kane's got to go for me this summer, unless Spurs do potentially turn it around towards the end of the season, which I don't see happening. And if so, where will he go? I think maybe someone like Man City. If Aguero goes, obviously Aguero's very much injury prone. Maybe Man City. I don't see him coming United. I just don't see it. I've heard some people talking about it, but I just don't see him coming. And I think I'd like to see him, but I don't see it coming. So I think Man City potentially, or maybe a club in Europe's top 5 leagues. Maybe he'll do the Gary Lineker, go to Barcelona. Who knows? They might be looking for a striker. So we have to wait and see. These sort of transfers, these mad transfers can happen. It's very difficult to see where he goes, especially with Daniel Levy. He's going to want to squeeze every single last penny out of Harry Kane that he possibly can if he's going to leave. So it's going to be a mammoth amount of money to take him away. So I'm not sure which clubs actually have that, especially in COVID times. Naveen says, what happened to Cavani again? He isn't travelling. Do you think we should extend his contract? Firstly, Naveen, I think Cavani has been one of our best strikers this season. Arguably our best in terms of impact he's had on the pitch. You could argue he's made the likes of Rashford better. He's made Greenwood better. Martial as well. I feel like he plays a little bit better with Cavani, but I don't think Martial has been playing that well anyway. So I think I wouldn't mind extending his contract, but I wouldn't extend his contract past a year. I don't see the point in keeping on someone who's going to be 36 or 37. I don't see what the point in that is. So I would keep him on for another year. I think he's good for another year, but realistically, I'm not going to... I wouldn't keep him on for, a 3-year deal, you know what I mean? And I think Cavani is injured. I think Solskjaer said in his press conference earlier today that Cavani and Donny van de Beek have both picked up muscle injuries. Obviously, that goes along with Paul Pogba. So that's obviously why I've titled this injury crisis, because I think we might have a little bit of an injury crisis on our hands. Pogba's out. Obviously you've got Van der Beek now, Cavani. We're starting to rack up a few injuries, and we've been pretty lucky this season. We haven't really had many injuries, so maybe this is our time. This is our time where we get that sort of bad luck of injuries to big players. So I think we will struggle a little bit. Sick Ball, thanks for joining, appreciate it. Obviously, Juventus fan, so thanks for joining, Sick Ball, appreciate it. We'll be playing in Juventus' home ground as well, of Turin, which we've got a very good record in. Obviously, 99, beating Juventus over 2 legs, beating them in Turin as well. And then obviously, under Jose Mourinho in his third season, actually, in his last season at United, we went to Turin and won 2-1. So we've got a very good record in Turin. I think it's about a 100% record, actually. Every time we played Juventus in Turin, we've always won. So I'm hoping that we can do the same thing, even though we're not playing Juventus. Hopefully the record can carry over. And it's not about the opponent we play, but it's the stadium. So I'm hoping we can do that. Neutral venue as well. You can argue amongst yourselves whether you think it's fair or not. Mr. Boba Django says, got a sneaky suspicion the 5 at the back will return tomorrow with these injuries. I mean, it could do, but to be fair, the injuries aren't really in defence. We've got a pretty fully fit back line. Even Phil Jones is in the Man United squad tomorrow. Phil Jones. I mean, he hasn't been in a Man United squad, for at least a year. And yet he is now in a United squad. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. I really couldn't believe my eyes. Kobe says, what happens to Donny? Probably injured his arse from sitting on the bench too much. Yeah, I know. It's weird. Like, he barely plays, and yet he's picked up a muscle injury. I mean, how the hell does that happen? Harry the Hoover, thanks for joining, Harry. Appreciate it. He says, Scott got injured because Ollie told him there was no iron brew on the plane. Tell you what, mate. Thing is with McTominay is I actually think recently he's been playing well. All jokes aside, I think McTominay's been one of our best midfielders. Or at least one of our most consistent midfielders. I don't think we've really turned out many good performances recently. I actually think the Everton game was our last decent performance, even though we drew it in the last minute. I thought we deserved to win that game, and if we took more of our chances, we would have won. So I think the Everton game was our last decent performance. But yeah, I think Scott McTominay, I don't think he's going to start. I have a suspicion it won't be McTominay. I think it will be a double pivot, because I think Solskjaer will be worried about the threat that Sociedad pose. But I still think the McTominay will have a feature potentially off the bench. But realistically, McTominay, you've got to give him credit. You've got to give him credit. Adam says, remember when people thought Spurs were going to win the league? Yeah, those were crazy times, mate. That was just a lockdown getting to people, I swear. Sick Ball goes with a 3-2 win to United. I love that, mate. I love that. Hopefully you're right. Kobe says, at least they have Oyarzabal out. Oh, of course. He's on good form, actually. He's on good form. He's a good little player. So yeah, that's obviously decent that he's out. He's not going to be playing, but they've still got, some absolute quality players. David Silva. Isaac as well, the guy who was obviously that youngster that came from Dortmund that everyone was raving about. And the main man, really, former United player, former United hero of sorts, Adnan Januzaj. Is playing for Real Sociedad, and he's got a point to prove. Obviously let go by Manchester United, not wanted, and will want to do well, and will want to potentially, come back to haunt his former club. Although, if you've seen an interview with Januzaj did recently, he actually said he still watches all the United games because he loves the club. So, hey, maybe he could do us a favour tomorrow. Maybe he could do us a favour. That would be nice. Naveen said tomorrow MMM will be back. Martial, Mason, and Marcus. What a trio last season. Hope all can get their goals. I hope so, because last season, as you said, they were the most potent front three in the league, and in fact the world. They scored more than Liverpool's front three, and I'm pretty sure everyone was going on like they were the second coming of, Beth, Law and Charlton. So, I mean, I don't know what happened to that. I don't know what's happened to them this season, but we're not talking about Liverpool, of course. But I think, it's important for those three guys to get onto form, because right now they are right off the form. They really are. Cristiano Ronaldo, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. He says, finally Martial out of the squad. Thanks God. Yeah. I know a lot of people, have been critical of Anthony Martial's performances, and he hasn't been up to scratch, let's be honest. He hasn't been up to scratch recently. Most of our forward players haven't, to be fair, but I think Martial in particular has not got anywhere near where he was last season. Which is unfortunate because we know he's a decent player. There's a decent player in there, but he's just not up to standard right now. So, I'm not sure he's going to play tomorrow. I feel like he is in the squad. So I think he will get a game. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays on the wing. I don't think he's going to play up front. And I wouldn't be surprised if Greenwood actually plays as the number 9. I would not be surprised at all. And actually, I'll show you my predicted lineup in just a few moments. So make sure to be tuned in for that. Cheers for coming in. Obviously, I just realised it's Burrito Rashford, just read different names. But thanks for coming back, mate. Always good to hear from your friend, and hopefully you enjoyed Sevilla Dortmund. As I said, as a United fan, I just don't watch Champions League unless it's like an English team involved, to be honest. I'm not bothered about these sort of other games, but each to your own. Jamie's joined us. Thanks for joining, Jamie. Appreciate it. He says, Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, Telles, Fred, Matic, Greenwood, Fernandes, Rashford, and Martial. Very similar to the team I've picked, actually. I didn't go with Lindelof at the back, but apart from Lindelof, I think I actually picked a very, very similar team to that I'll show you in just a second. But yeah, I like the team, Jamie. I like it. And Naveen says Martial will score tomorrow. I hope so. Anyone will do, mate. Anyone will do, trust me. But I want to see Martial try and get as much confidence as he can, because he's a confidence player, and when he's off it, he really, really is off it. But when he's on it, he can be one of the most electric players on the pitch. He really can. So I want to see him. I want to see him get back into form. Cavani is injured. Cavani and Van der Beek both injured, which is so frustrating. Just as Van der Beek seemed to be getting a few minutes, obviously he was brought on against West Brom. He's now injured, and that's obviously going to halt his development even further. The fact he's injured, he wasn't getting much minutes anyway, and the fact now he's injured, it just hasn't gone Van der Beek's way at United so far, and hopefully it does, start to get better. But realistically, right now, it hasn't gone his way. Cavani, of course, being injured again is a big blow. I think that's probably one of the worst injuries we could have at this point. I think he really does make us look better going forward. I think his link-up plays a lot better. He does miss the odd sitter. But I do think that going forward, he's our best player. Right now, he's our best player, and you can argue with me till the cows come home if you disagree, but I'm not going to change my mind on that one. Cristiano now says, bruv, what do you think? Can we win the Europa League? I don't think there's a reason why not. I think, last season, obviously, with you could argue a worse team, we got to, the semi-finals and probably should have got to the finals if we actually took our chances. So I don't see a reason why not. Obviously, we have to hope that we get a few easy draws, but I don't see why not. We've got a decent side, and I think if we do put all our eggs in one basket in terms of the Europa League, there's no reason why we can't win it. We have got the squad depth, we've got the rotational capacity, so there's no reason why we can't. I don't see us winning it, because I just think that there'll be another team in there that just has enough quality to beat us. But I still believe that we can. There's no reason why we can't. Mr. Baba Django said we'd be playing Champions League knockouts tonight if we had an elite coach. Well, yeah, you can argue that. You can definitely argue that. I'd argue as well if we had elite defenders, we definitely would be, especially if you look at the goals we conceded in that Leipzig game. 3 just aimless balls across the box and tap-ins at the back post was just how we conceded. So poor in that game, and obviously we nearly came back to a draw 3-3. Says Henderson, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Turin, Bai, Telles, Matic, McTominay, Bruno, Greenwood, Marcus, and Martial. So Turin gets into Adam's team. Wow, I like the difference there. Turin isn't a bad inclusion. Hasn't had the best of it recently, but you could argue that's also because of the situations he's being put in. I mean, Turin coming on with about 5 seconds left of the game, expected to defend set pieces and stuff, and it just hasn't been working out for Turin. So whenever he started, I think he's looked good, but coming on as a time-wasting sub, it's bitten us twice. So hopefully that's not the same thing that happens. James says probably Turin tomorrow though. Yeah, could be. Obviously Adam's gone with that. Christian Ronaldo says, what about Amad Diallo? Will he get some playtime? I don't know. I think he could. I think out of all the kind of young players we're taking to Turin, I think he's the most likely. Especially, we've got to think about it, guys. We paid £35 million for this kid. If we don't start seeing him in the first team, you have to think about, what is the point? What is the point? We bought him for 35 million quid and he's not getting a game. I hope he does get a game, at least over this 2 legs, because we're running out of games to give him, really. Because in the league, you could argue it's a little bit too high pressure to give a young kid like Diallo game time. But at the same time, the Europa League, we're still in it. We've got the FA Cup. These are sort of opportunities that we want to see these young players in. So hopefully we can see him in these games. Naveen says, honestly, I hope teams knocked out from the group stage should not be in Europa. Can't digest us playing in Europa. Yeah, I know. It's so frustrating, especially when Champions League's back. I think when Champions League was out of sight, out of mind, you could kind of deal with it. As soon as you see Mbappe scoring hat-tricks in the new camp and all this stuff happening, Liverpool winning, it was so kind of, just so frustrating, really, that we're not in that Champions League, especially the fact that really we should have been in it. And if we'd actually just been able to defend, we would have been in it. So again, frustrating. Brendan, thanks for joining, appreciate it. He says, where did the moustache go? Was it windy today? No, it wasn't windy today, mate. I just decided to shave it off, to be fair. I don't know, just a bit of a change. Obviously, we're in this lockdown period. I thought, why not? It was being a bit annoying anyway. It was getting a bit overgrown, so I just kind of... I probably should have just shaved it back a little bit and not cut the whole thing off. But basically, I think I was just shaving and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to take the whole thing off and, watch it grow again. So that's what I'm going to do. But thanks for coming, appreciate it. Mr. Bobajanga says, Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Tuanzebe, Lindelof, Maguire, Telles, Matic, Fred, Mata, Rashford and Martial. That's the first shout we've had for Mata as well. And you know what? Mata coming into Europa League game would be totally Man United. It would be so Man United-esque to have Juan Mata come back into this side. And to be fair, when Mata has played, he hasn't been our worst player. I think this season, when he has had appearances, he's looked alright. He has looked alright. So if he can do the same sort of performance again, he should have a good impact. But for me, I think I don't see him playing. I don't see Mata coming in. But again, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's so difficult to predict one of his 11s. Football Crew Show, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. He says, United must win this match because it's a one-leg tie. Is it a one leg or is it 2 legs? I'm not... Guys, let us know if it's 2 legs or 1 leg. I'm pretty sure that it's still 2 legs. I'm pretty sure there's still a leg at Old Trafford. Let me know if I'm wrong. But... maybe Football Crew Show if you're right. If you're right, obviously, fair play to you. But I'm not sure if it is a one-legged tie. I'm pretty sure there's 2 legs in there. But still, it's important that we do get a positive result because this is our away leg. And I'm not sure whether away goals actually still count. Again, that's something which I haven't thought about. So if away goals still count, it's an even more important game tomorrow that we do actually get the away goals. Naveen says, sorry Kieran, we paid only 16-17 million for Amad, another 16-17 million for bonuses like goals, Ballon d'Or, so it's not 35 million. Oh, right, okay. No, that's good that you corrected me, because I don't want to be like Sky Sports and add on the kind of add-ons and stuff as the main transfer fee, like they did with Pogba and Lukaku, and pretty much everybody we've signed. Everyone we've signed. So, yeah, thanks for correcting me, Naveen. Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. So, obviously, 16, 17 million. But still, the fact we paid money for him, you'd like to see him in the team. He's not a free, he's not a freebie. Cristiano says, bro, I want to know that we're really going to buy Koundé from Sevilla. If it is, it will be a really good news. Listen, I think Koundé, probably out of him and, what's the other guy's name? Upamecano. I think actually Koundé looked the better over, I think he looks better than Upamecano, to be honest with you. And I was banging the drum for Upamecano. You guys who watch this channel will know that he was the guy I wanted to get. There's no other guy who I was going to settle for other than him. I thought he was the perfect guy to sit next to Harry Maguire in that defence. But every time I seem to watch him against a decent side, he just isn't really up to it that much. So I don't know. I'm starting to second guess myself on that one. But Koundé seems like a decent player. He really, really does. So yeah, 2-legged tie. 2-legged tie. People are staying in the chat. Naveen says 2-legged tie. Football Crew Show says 2-legged tie. So yeah, 2 legs still. So obviously if we lose this game, it's not the be-all and end-all. But to be fair, our record at Old Trafford isn't great. So I wouldn't really be that surprised if we weren't to get a good result at Old Trafford. Especially with the Spanish curse at Old Trafford. I think I can't remember the last Spanish team that came to Old Trafford and didn't get a positive result, which is obviously a draw or a win. I literally can't. Real Madrid came back in 2013. I think we beat Sociedad at Old Trafford, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was like 1-0, something like that. But I think you have... Who's the other team that came to Old Trafford? Obviously, Ander Herrera's mob before Ander Herrera came to United. Bilbao came to Old Trafford under the Leeds manager, Bielsa, and absolutely dominated us in that game. So, we have a bad record playing against Spanish teams at home. So we need to rectify that. We do need to rectify that. But, that's why I think we need to get a good result in this first leg if we are to go through. Brendan says, we're still talking about football, Kieran, or your dating preference. No, football, definitely football. Definitely football. Adam says put the link on. I would put the link on, Adam, but unfortunately I'm charging my headphones right now. My headphones are out of charge, and I'm obviously going on another stream tonight, so I have to make sure my headphones are all right. So I do apologise. I would usually get you guys on, but it is what it is. But what I'm going to do now. Sevilla, yep, Sevilla and Barcelona and Sevilla, exactly. So our record against Spanish sides has been really, really poor. But what we're going to do now is debut a feature on this channel for the first time. I'm sharing my screen and I'm using a different feature. So, here we go. This is my lineup for the game. Look at that. Would you just look at that? See, I do care. I do know my way around this software. So there you go. There is my predicted lineup for the game. That is what I've gone with. Let me know your thoughts on that. So obviously I've gone Henderson in goal. I've got Wan-Bissaka, Bailly, Maguire and Telles as the back four. I've gone with a Matic-Fred pivot. As I said, I'm not sure whether Scott McTominay is going to be in there from the start. I do think that he's played quite a few games, started most of our games recently. So I'm going to go with that. And then I've gone with Rashford, Bruno and Martial. Now, listen, I can see Brendan already saying Martial on the right. Okay, I can already see Brendan saying, why is Anthony Martial on the right? And you know what? It's a valid criticism, Brendan. It's a valid criticism. What I'm going to say is this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in his press conferences and in press conferences before that Rashford, Greenwood and Martial is a fluid front three. A fluid front three. So for me, I've basically just stuck them wherever. And they will swap around during the game. No doubt that if that is what starts, Martial will go up front, Greenwood will go on the right, Rashford will be on the left. Rashford will then swap, and that sort of thing will happen. So as Naveen says, obviously Greenwood and Martial swap position. And that will probably happen during the game. It will happen during the game, no doubt about it. Because they are a fluid front three. Bruno Fernandes obviously playing that, cam. So I've just done that. So for me, that's what I've kind of done. Obviously, that's how they kind of line up in a game. I think obviously you could argue Martial goes up front instead of Greenwood. But they'll swap around during the game. They'll swap around during the game because they are fluid. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I picked that. Obviously, I could have put Martial where Greenwood is. I could do this. In fact, I can change it on the fly, I'm pretty sure. Look at this, eh? I can change it on the fly. How about that? Wow, there you go, eh? See? There you go. So I can change it on the fly. So you can do that. And that is what I've gone with. Now, again, this is my predicted 11. This is not the 11 that I would want. This is not the 11 I'd want. Don't get me wrong. Matic and Fred as the pivot does not work. As you guys talking about, it doesn't work. But I can see Solskjaer going with it. Mr. Baba Django says Fred and Matic doesn't work, but Ollie doesn't see that while playing Candy Crush. Yeah, listen, that's what I've gone with. That's what I'm predicting. Matic hasn't played for a few weeks. I think this is the sort of game where he'd be thrown straight back in. Fred as well, someone who often does that utility job. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially with Solskjaer probably shitting himself a little bit about the presence that Real Sociedad can offer going forward. So that's what I've gone with. That's what I've gone with for my predicted 11. And you guys can have your say on that as you guys are already. So we'll go back to that. If you guys have got any question about that, we'll go back to the predicted 11 and we'll kind of we'll talk about it. Let's see. Brennan says, I start them wherever. It actually sounds like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team talk. Yeah, some would say. Cristiano Ronaldo says, bro, now Matic don't have the class, man. United player, he doesn't have the class a United player should have. To be fair, listen, what I'll say about Matic is, yes, he's not everyone's cup of tea. Matic is not everyone's cup of tea, and I get that. I fully understand that. But one thing I would say is that he has put in some decent performances for Manchester United. He has. And even this season, he's done some good jobs here and there. So I don't think Matic is the worst player in our team. I do think we need to look at other central defence midfield options, especially with Nemanja Matic ageing a little bit. But I actually don't think he's the worst player on our team. I don't think he is. So I think he can still do a job for us. But I wouldn't want to see Nemanja Matic in a regular starting 11 for Manchester United. Brennan says he is class, he just doesn't have the legs. I agree. I think that's the one thing with Matic, is that because he's aging, because he is getting a little bit older, he isn't as good as he was maybe for Chelsea or maybe when he first joined United. K-Si, thanks for joining, appreciate it. He says, Kieran, I'm annoyed. Yeah, I know. Obviously, the Mbappe-Rashford stuff, obviously you're Rashford's #1 fan, obviously you're famously saying that Rashford's 10 times the player Kylian Mbappe is. But Mbappe, to be fair to him, you've got to say fair play. What a player, man. What a player he is. He completely lit up the Nou Camp, scored a hat-trick at the Nou Camp. Can't remember the last player that did that. Ridiculous talent. Absolutely ridiculous talent. He will go right to the very top. As Harry Redknapp said, right to the very top. Naveen says, Telles, Maguire, Axel, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Matic, Fred, Bruno, James, Rashford, Greenwood and Grant. Hey, I tell you what, Grant getting in the team, I would love to see that, Part of me would love to see Lee Grant get a start. He's been sitting on that bench for ages and ages. What feels like a lifetime he's been on that bench. So I would love to see him get some sort of role, maybe even as a sub-goalkeeper. Bring him on at half-time. Mr. Boba Django says, Matic would be better as a CDM in between defence/midfield, looks poor in a 2. Yeah, I think Matic wouldn't be the worst as a CDM in the defence. I think that is a sort of role he can perform very well. I think the sweeper role is something that Matic does decently. I think the one thing that Matic can't do too well is when he does get caught up the pitch a little bit, and then he's having to kind of try and make the killer pass through to one of our forwards. That's not his role, and whenever he's got up the pitch and he's received the ball up the pitch, he's never really been that effective. So that's the one thing that I'd say with Matic, is that he's not really the same. You don't get the same sort of fluidity as you would get with someone like Scott McTominay, who right now is actually offering a lot more going forward than he is as a kind of defensive midfielder. Fred is, again, someone in that kind of in-between stage where going forward he can be good, but he can also be abject. And then defending he can be good, but he can also be abject. So Fred, to me, is in that in-between stage. I still think he's not a bad player, especially when you play him in the right position and you use him correctly. But I don't think right now he's being used properly, and I just think he's been stuck in there next to McTominay, and I don't think the roles are known well enough, really. Adam says, I'm doing a stream after Kieran is done. I'll send you the link on Insta. Make sure to check that out. Make sure to check it out on Adam's Insta. Feel free to plug your Insta, Adam, in the live chat. K-Si says, Mbappe and Mbappe Haaland, I warned you about Ollie. You can't get me with that. Keep going. Keep trying, mate. Keep trying, because I ain't reading it out. But yeah, I don't know what to say about that, to be honest. Brennan says, Matic already operates in that position, doesn't he? That's why Fred always performs poorly next to Matic. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. It's a fair point. Naveen says, unlucky Van der Beek. Perfect game for him to start and to show his ability. Yeah, it's just, as I said before, it just hasn't really been going right for Donny van der Beek. It hasn't been, going well, for him. The injuries and the fact he's been on the bench most of the time, Donny van der Bench and all that stuff. It hasn't gone well for him in a Man United shirt. I mean, his finest moment, really, was the goal he scored against Palace, and that was about it. That was the last time he had a massive contribution. I think when he played alongside Mata in the Carabao Cup games, he looked decent. But since then, he's just looked a shadow of his former self. And whether that's because he's not playing in the right system, whether it's because he was so suited to the way Ajax like to play that, it just didn't really work out for him in this system? I don't know. But one thing is for certain is he's not going to be able to rack up any sort of form by sitting on the bench and being injured, which is really unfortunate. K-Side, don't worry, don't hate you, mate. It's all banter. It's all banter. Don't worry. I love you for coming to the streams, mate. I love you for coming to the streams, and I love everyone for coming to the streams. The support is absolutely crazy. So thank you so much for helping me out and coming to the streams and having your say on a bi-weekly basis, or even more than a weekly basis. Or 8 months is almost all of K-Side's life. I think he's a little bit older than that, just a little bit. But I've given you my starting 11 prediction. If you want to get your score predictions in as well, please do. I'm not wholly confident in us going to Turin and getting all 3 points, or at least getting the win in the first game, in the first leg. I just feel like Sociedad are a decent side. They're not some slouch. They're not some bottom placed team in the kind of Kazakhstan league. They're like a decent side. At one point this season, they were top of that table. They come into this game without a defeat in their, I think maybe one defeat in their last 6. They're in good form. They come into this game off the back of a 1-0 win. We're not in that great form. We're not in that great form. We drew to Everton, drawn to West Brom. The last win in the league was a 9-0 victory against Southampton, and even that was a little bit of a freak victory considering they got one of their players sent off after 2 minutes. So that is the way it is going into it. We're not the form team going into this game, and I think the fact it's in a neutral venue will help us a bit. I think if we were going to Sociedad and there was, a few thousand people or however many thousand people in their stadium, it would have been a lot more difficult for us. But the fact it's going to be empty stadium, we're going to a neutral ground. We always seem to do well away from home. I think we will, potentially get a decent result, but the one thing I'm worried about is the talent that they possess. They've got the likes of David Silva, obviously Oyarzabal is out, but Isaac's playing well, Januzaj's playing well, Ilya Mendy, Monreal in there as well. They've got some quality players. And they currently sit 5th in La Liga. As I said, they're no slouch. They really are no slouch. Naveen says, watching Koundé now and he's decent. Handling Haaland good so far. Well, yeah, Haaland needs to respond really, doesn't he? After Mbappe laid down the marker last night. Haaland obviously being the guy that is being touted to be Mbappe's kind of rival really. He needs to throw down a marker. But yeah, Koundé looks decent, man. He looks very, very good. I saw one of the goals he scored. Unbelievable finish from a centre back. Adam says, how about putting Greenwood at number 9 and giving the ball? He'll be the same level as Haaland. May he even be better and will score 27 plus goals? As of right now, I'm not sure if Greenwood's got 27 plus goals in him. To be fair, if he was to have a period where he just took every single chance he had, he probably would get close. But for me, Greenwood as a winger, I don't see him scoring 27 plus goals. But as you said, as a number 9, maybe. I think Solskjaer will look to probably go for Cavani, continually go for Cavani, which I'm happy with because he's playing well at the moment. But then he will probably, when Cavani leaves, will look to continue the development of Anthony Martial as the number 9. So I'm not sure whether Greenwood will get that number 9 spot. I'd love to see him get it, and I'd love to see him flourish in it as he did for the under-23s and the under-18s. But I think it will be Cavani, I think it will be Martial really for the next few seasons. Mr. Bowajango says they're a well-coached side as well, very crafty team around opposition box and a decent defensive record. Yeah, they do. They've got a fantastic team. 5th in the Liga, even though they are, just about 10 points off a Champions League spot. They're a decent side, man. They're a decent side, and as I've said, our record against Spanish opposition in European competition is notoriously shit. It's notoriously shit. So I would not be surprised if we don't get through this. I would not be surprised. And to be honest with you, I'm preparing myself for the inevitable banter on Twitter after we get knocked out in the second leg. I'm preparing myself. But you have to have a bit of hope going into these games. And realistically, even though the pundits won't make us the underdogs, the pundits will be saying we should go over there and we should dominate them. That's just not the case. It's just not the case. But I'm sure we'll see a lot of pundits coming in saying, oh, United will wrap this up easily in the first leg. 3 or 4-0, done and dusted. But it's just an absolute load of shite. Iron Man, thanks for joining, Iron Man. Great to see you, my friend. He says, I want to lose this game. I know it's the first leg. We can come back Old Trafford, but Newcastle, Chelsea and City is more important. And I want Ole to come back. I know my imagination is stupid, but this is what I want. Mate, it's your opinion. Your opinion isn't stupid. I know there's a lot of United fans. As I said at the very start of this stream, a lot of United fans are saying we shouldn't focus on the Europa League, saying we should focus on the Premier League. And especially with those fixtures you mentioned coming up in Chelsea and City in particular, you might be right. We might end up playing this Europa League tie and end up kind of regretting it because we pick up a few injuries and then the players get tired. We're playing Sunday, Thursday all the time. It's not good really, and I don't think any team has been able to put any sort of title challenge together when playing in the Europa League. So that's why I feel like the title is completely gone, especially the fact we're playing in the Europa League. The one thing I would say is that I would personally never say I want United to lose any game of football. I don't care whether it's the Europa League or whatever. I would never say I want United to lose a game of football. But I see your logic. I do see the logic in what you're saying. By the way, please hit that like button as well if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I really do appreciate all of your support, so thank you so much to everyone who has been watching. Naveen says, I wish Greenwood is creative and has potential to do killer passes, but he's a more like a Robben type of player. Yeah, cutting in off that wing. I think Greenwood, one thing he was very effective at doing last season was, using both feet. Cutting in from the right, hitting it on his left and putting it past that near post. Goalkeepers didn't know what to expect. But actually now, they seem to have copped on a little bit. There's so many times where Greenwood does that shot, it gets blocked. So many times, and I think defenders have really copped on to Greenwood doing that. So that's one thing, as he said in the press conference for this game. Now when you've been playing for about a year, when you've been playing for about a year, you need to have a new box of tricks. You need to have more tricks up your sleeve, and he did say that in today's press conference. So at least he's kind of aware of that, and the fact he is aware of that and the fact he is trying to improve himself is obviously very, very encouraging. By the way, I never called G out. G, if you're watching, I never called you out. Do not listen to a word Brendan is saying. He's causing trouble. This never happened. Don't worry about that. This never happened. I love G. G's a great lad. He's a great lad, and if you are watching, guys, make sure you do check out Red Devil Studio. Brilliant stuff on there. Trust me, he's a great lad. Don't listen to all this rhetoric. But anyway, it's come to the part of the show where I give you my score prediction, and you guys can give your score predictions in the live chat as well. I want to see everyone's score predictions right now going in the chat, and yeah, I'm going to give you mine, and then we'll probably wrap the stream up there for tonight. By the way, I will be on Rich's channel for the preview. I know, back-to-back on Rich's channel. So yeah, make sure you do check out that stream. It'll be very, very fun indeed. Looking forward to it. So I think for me, my score prediction is going to be 1-1. I think we'll have enough quality to not lose the game, but I still think Sociedad are a decent side, and obviously against Spanish opposition, we're terrible. Our record in Europe's shocking against Spanish opposition. So with that in mind, and with the fact that we have picked up some injuries, Cavani's not playing, Van der Beek's not playing, I just don't see us, winning the game. I just don't. Maybe I'm being pessimistic, but I just don't see us winning it. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, which actually, in any ordinary two-legged tie where away goals is a thing, wouldn't be the worst result. A 1-1 draw away from home, you take that. You would take that. But I'm not 100% sure whether away goals are still counting. If they are, then a win, any sort of goal for us would be absolutely massive in this tie. So I'm going with a 1-1 draw. I can't tell you who I think is going to score the goals. I think probably, I don't know, someone like Bruno Fernandes maybe from a free kick. That's what I'm going to predict. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. A few score predictions coming in. Cristiano Ronaldo says, I think in the away leg we should replace Telles with Shaw. He can surely help us to a win. I like what you did there, Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not sure whether you did it intentionally, but it's quality. But anyway, yeah. Shaw is definitely the better left back, but I just think, with the games coming thick and fast, and now we're playing a schedule of Thursday, Sunday, I think Solskjaer will look to start rotating players, and I don't think Shaw is going to be featuring in every game, and I think it's good. I don't think we need to have Shaw featuring in every game. He's pretty well been our best player this month. And don't want to see him injured. We've already seen Cavani get injured, already seen Van der Beek get injured, Pogba get injured, Bailly get injured. We don't need these injuries. So for me, we need to keep Shaw fit. Boba Django goes 2-0 to Real Sociedad. I like the positivity there, mate. But fair play, I like the honesty as well. Could easily be, Sociedad are a decent side. Let's not write them off. 3-1 says Naveen, Martial, Marcus and Mason all score for Manchester United. That would be a dream win, really. To get all them back on form, all scoring, it would be a great performance and a great result. So I'm taking 3-1 all day long, but any sort of win would be a good result. K-Si says, Kieran, you top lad. Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate the support, K-Si. I always do. But yeah, that's my score prediction. I think, we go into this as probably slight favourites. I don't think that we're outright favourites. I know some people will say we're outright favourites because we're Manchester United, but Sociedad are a decent side. Arguably the form team coming into this game, especially if you look at our previous form. So with that in mind, yeah, as I said, 1-1 draw for me. But we've had 1 loss and 1 win so far in terms of the predictions. So maybe the draw is the perfect prediction. Casey said, Brendan, next statement, Kieran wants to fight Mike Tyson. Says, even Kieran isn't that stupid. Come on. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to fight anyone. Trust me. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Trust me. I'm not going to fight anyone. Anyway, nothing's happening on that front. But anyway, I'm probably going to end it here, lads. But I want to thank everyone who has tuned in to watch this preview. Really do appreciate it as always. Make sure you check out all the channels mentioned. Red Devil Studio, Rich Sports as well for his live preview. I'll be on there. Go and check that out at 10:15, I think it starts. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Leave a like if you aren't already. And yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure you do follow me on Twitter as well. My Twitter link is in the description down below. So if you have Twitter and haven't already, make sure you do follow me. But anyway, thank you for watching. Really do appreciate it. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And we'll see you all tomorrow after the game. But until then, thanks for watching and cheers.